Are you going to make me more money? No, I'm not going to make you more money, George. Well, then I don't want to buy you. Hey guys, George here. Today I'm going to talk to you about what's in my bag. So I'm an editorial photographer. I work mostly out on location. Everything you see in my bag is going to be what I need for what I shoot all the time. So if you're interested in what a location portrait photographer, an editorial photographer has in their bag, this is the video for you. So as you can see, I actually don't have a bag, I have a case. I have the Peli 1610, which is larger, it's on wheels, it's weatherproof, reasonably light until you fill it up with stuff. I use the cutaway foam or tearaway foam instead of the little dividers. The problem with the foam is it does wear down after time, but it works for now. So let's show you what's in the case. I'm gonna run through this in order of priority, I would say, or order of importance. The most important things that I need to bring with me first, and then we'll go down to the least important things. All the things I have in here are important, but there's certain things that if I don't have with me, it'll be a disaster. First up, obviously, is going to be a camera, and then a camera with extra batteries. Most of my shoots aren't terribly long. My shoots tend to last anywhere between 15 minutes and an hour. When I do larger advertising shoots, those can take hours, sometimes a day, or multiple days for that matter. For my editorial stuff, spare batteries isn't imperative, but it's always a good idea to have spare batteries. I would show you what I've got, but I'm actually filming with my main camera right now, the Fuji X-T2. I did a really cool review on it. You should watch it. I'll put a link below where you can watch the review I did on the X-T2. But it's my main camera now, and I'm filming this video with it, so I can't show you the camera. It's got a battery grip on it, so that's 3 batteries that are always in that camera. I always charge them up before I head out for a shoot. With the Fuji X-T2, 2 lenses. One is the 16 to 55 2.8, which again I can't show you because I'm actually using it to record this video that you see here. The other is a newer lens to me, the 50 to 140 2.8, which is a 70 to 200 equivalent on a full frame camera. The reason why I say this is new to me is because I used to never have any lenses in my bag that were over 70 mils in length, and I'm finding myself using it quite a bit now. I've got those 2 lenses, and I only have those 2 lenses. The reason I only have 2 lenses is mostly down to the type of work that I do. I like to shoot wide, I like full body portraits, and when I don't do full body portraits, it's typically waist up 3/4. It's not very often you see a headshot from me. So the 16 to 55 is probably my main lens. And that's also dictated by the locations I'm shooting at. I tend to shoot in a lot of really small places, and I need the wider lens to get the compositions that I want. The 70 to 200 equivalent, which is the 50 to 140, I have been using that a lot more lately. When I find myself in larger rooms, it's totally different for me in terms of my style, because my style has been known for being a bit wide. Even on close-up shots, it's been wide. I've used that lens distortion, and it's sort of become my thing. My style has sort of evolved over time, and I'm finding myself gravitating to the longer lens now. So the other thing I would bring with me is a backup camera. This used to be my main camera, and this is the Nikon D800E. Everything you're gonna see in here has probably been bought secondhand. Are you gonna make me more money? No, I'm not gonna make you more money, George. Well, then I don't wanna buy you. Seriously, if it's not gonna make me more money, there's probably no point in buying it. So this is my backup. I've got this in the bag. I've got a spare battery for it in the bag. I don't have a battery grip for this one. Prior to getting the Fuji, my backup camera would have been my other Nikon, would have been the Nikon D300S. That would have meant I would have had 4 Nikon lenses in there, which was probably overkill considering I used probably one 90% of the time. So I've still got 4 lenses, but I've got the 2 for Fuji, and now I've got 2 for my Nikon just in case. The Nikon 24 to 70 2.8. Again, bought used from a guy who had 2. It is a nice lens. I would never have paid for it new though. And my other lens would be this guy, 50mm 1.8. Prior to getting the 24-70, this was honestly my go-to lens. It's a great focal length, especially on a full frame. It had the lens distortion I liked when I got in close and did more head and shoulders portraits. I like prime lenses. I like moving to recompose instead of zooming in and out. But when you're shooting editorials, you need to be able to get stuff quick. You need to be able to get full body, 3/4, headshots, whatever it is you're trying to get. It's usually going to require different focal lengths, and it's usually going to require it quite quick. Running around like a madman recomposing is what I did for a long time. I like to move to recompose my shots. 2 cameras, 2 lenses for each camera, but honestly, since I've got the Fuji, the Nikon hasn't even come out of the bag. I'm sorry, little guy. I really don't need you anymore. Well, hopefully I don't need you anymore. The next bit of kit that is crucial for what I do, ND filters. Really, 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 really love ND filters. So in here I've got a 2, 4, and 6 stop ND filter. These are gradient filters, which I don't really use unless I'm shooting landscapes, but these are crucial for my work with portraits. Why ND filters, you ask? Sit down for a story and I will tell you. Comfortable? Got a cup of coffee? Good. When you're shooting off-camera flash, which is what I do 99% of the time, your aperture suddenly controls the brightness of your flash and your shutter speed controls the brightness of the ambient light. Most cameras and most flash have a shutter sync, which is the maximum speed you can get a good photo at with flash, and that's usually 1/200th of a second, 1/250th of a second. When you go above that, you get this awful black line. You can get high speed sync, you can get all sorts of things so that you can use flash at 1/8000th of a second if you want to. Most cameras, most flash systems have that sync top out. Oh, crap. 250th of a second isn't fast enough to cut down the ambient light. ND filters. I always have an ND filter on my lens when I'm shooting out in sunlight. It allows me to use the sun as a second light without having them face the sun, because when you have them face the sun, you get photos that look like this. Nobody wants that. So I always have the sun somewhere behind them, off to the side, and then my light is in the front, being the key light. ND filter, cutting that down so I can balance my flash and ambient light. If I don't have this when I'm shooting out on location, it changes everything for how I shoot. Second most important bit of kit, my Elinchrom Skyport, which is just a flash trigger, but is specific to the flash that I use. If I were to show up at a shoot and had all the batteries in the world charged up, but I didn't have this, black. Lights aren't going off. I wouldn't be able to do anything. If I don't have this, everything else I do is a waste of time. I'd have to shoot ambient light or natural light, and that's just not the way that I work, and that's not why people hire me. I also make sure I have batteries for this. Watch batteries, so I've got a pack of them in there. They last quite a long time though, but every now and again I forget to turn it off, and then the battery's dead the next time I open it up. Obviously, if I don't have battery packs for my lights are completely useless. 2 of these in my bag. I would like 3, but I don't want to spend the money to get a third. I have a third light, you'll see that in a minute though. And some of you are probably going, why do you have 2 of them? When you plug 2 lights into here, 2 things happen. 1, you instantly lose power. And 2, it sets them to a ratio that you cannot adjust. Plug a light into A, that light is going to be at 2/3 of the power to whatever you set this to. The light in B is going to be at 1/3 of the power to whatever you set that to. Now that sounds nice. The problem is, not every scenario requires your lights to be at 1/3 of a ratio to each other. In fact, most of the time when I shoot, they don't require that ratio. They require something completely different. I don't like that. And I don't like losing power because sometimes I'm battling the sun. And even with the ND filters, I gotta crank these bad boys up. So I've got 2 of these. The cables for the lights. You don't have these, my lights are completely useless again. I mean, how would you power lights without the cables? Obviously, there's other lighting systems out there where the battery's built in and you don't need cables like this. I think ProPhoto B1 is one of those lights, but obviously, who's got the money to spend on that? ProPhoto, if you want to sponsor me, I think this is pretty obvious, but if I don't actually have the lights, then why are you paying me to take photos? Yeah, the lights. I've got 2 of these. These are the Elinchrom Quadra Ranger heads, 400 watt seconds, I believe. Hardly ever have any misfires. They don't feel robust, but they're quite robust. Easy to change the flash tubes if you need to. They fit with the modifiers that I use, which I'll come to in a second. Yeah, they're pretty good. My modifiers. I don't use the Elinchrom modifiers. Sorry, Elinchrom. This is actually massive octabox. It's a 42-inch octabox, I believe. I have a smaller version of this, which can also act as a beauty dish. If I'm using 3 lights, I tend to leave them bare than the 2 rim lights and move them really far away and feather the light, which goes back to why I don't like the 2/3, 1/3 ratio. Modifiers. Important, but I can get away without them. If I forgot it at home, it wouldn't be the end of the day. My other light, it doesn't get used very often. For a while, it was one of my main lights. This is a Interfit Strobies Pro Flash 180. I did do a review on it on my website a couple years ago. It's a pretty good little flash. It's 180 watts. As you can see from this, it's got 360-degree light displacement. Is that the right word? It works pretty good. It's got a decent little battery pack that hangs off of it. It can go on the hot shoe, so if you really need an on-camera flash, this will go on there, and it's got this really crappy modifier, but it does the job. But yeah, if I use 3 lights, this will be my key light, because the Elinchroms have optical triggers, so I can use this to trigger the Elinchroms, but I can't use the Elinchroms to trigger this. So this becomes my key light, and then the Elinchroms become my rim lights. So that's it, really. That's all that's in my bag. It's everything I need. And then when I'm going around, I'll have on my back a bag that has my light stands in it. And I just trudge around the country taking photos and dragging my case around, and it's pretty awesome. Before I got the Elinchroms, I used to have just a bag, and in that bag was 3 strobe lights, and that was my lighting for ages, just 3 strobe lights. And the only reason I ever switched to Elinchrom is my bag was getting weighed down with spare batteries, and it got to a point where I was like, oh, I just can't be dealing with these batteries anymore. So I started looking around. I got a good deal on Elinchroms again because I bought them secondhand, but they work brilliantly. And for me, that was one of the rare instances where I said, is this going to make money? And the answer was no, but I still bought it because it was going to make my job easier. And in turn, I guess that technically could make me more money. So yeah, that's it really. I'll put a link to my website below so you can go have a look at what I do, and you can understand a little bit more about why I have what I do in my bag and how I use it. I would love it if you would like the video and subscribe as well. Any comments, questions, concerns, put them below. I will always answer them. Until next time, see you later.